What's going on, guys? Rob A here, and today we're taking a look at Transformers: The Last Knight Infernocus. Now, this is a heavy retool slash repaint of the Beast Hunters Abominus set, I believe. And as you can see, it's Infernocus. It's the combiner that was in The Last Knight for about 5 seconds, and we do get him in figure form here. He's the center figure, and I'm trying to remember who it was on the Abominus combiner, but I can't remember offhand. I believe this is a completely new mold because it is quite a bit larger than the original, and it looks like it has a pretty different transformation overall. Now, this is a Toys R Us exclusive here in the United States. This does come with a tiny little Quintessa figurine, so that's pretty neat. You get her in a translucent blue color. Now, the only other weird thing about this is that you've got this character down here, which is, what's his name on here? Glug. But this is the same mold that they used for the Legion class Grimlock figure from the Last Knight line, so you may end up with 2 of these guys, which could be a little strange. But you do have 5 figures in all. You've got Rupture, you've got Skulk, which is the new middle character. You've got Infernocus Thrash. You've got Gorge and Glug here. This also has decodable glyphs because this is part of the whatever it's called, Mission to Cybertron series. Sorry. And of course you can combine to form your guy. Now the weird thing is it shows 7 steps for this guy, 12 for this guy, 10 for this guy, 6 for this guy. It does not tell you how many steps for this dude right here. So, you know, that's okay. But overall, I mean, it looks like a pretty neat combiner. I'm sure it's probably a little bit mismanaged here in the package. So we'll get it out of the package and in hand and see what we're really dealing with here. So, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get this guy out of his plastic prison, and we will check him out right now. Alright guys, so here we have Infernocus in their beast modes. But first, let's take a quick peek at the contents of the box. We do get a collector card, Mission to Cybertron glyph card, so you can see the mission glyphs here. And you could, of course, decode those at transformers.com/Mission-Cybertron. Ask a parent first. Of course, you never know what this might say. So, if you want to know what it says, you can, of course, pause the video and look for those glyphs, and then, you know, go to this website. I'm not going to bother doing that. Put that off to the side. You do get a quite large instruction sheet for this guy, and I'm going to keep this close at hand, not because this needs instructions on how to transform, but simply because I need all of their names nearby, because I'm not going to remember all these weird names. Anyway, these are the beast modes. Unfortunately, Skulk didn't have a transformation steps because he doesn't actually transform. He just goes from this weird tap dancing devil mode to you know, Infernocus. So that's kind of a letdown, honestly. For a $35 figure, where they're using 4, you know, reused molds, I would think they could at least, you know, just give us a nice, fully transformable Scout class figure. But alas, that is not the case. He can store the sword pieces on his shoulders, on his back, basically. And they just have these big peggy pegs on there. Tabs, I guess, is the official term. And looking at this guy, this dude is seriously crazy looking. Come on, zoom in there. There we go. Look at the paint job on this dude's face. He looks crazy. Like legit, like the robot devil. It's pretty crazy, man. And then you can see, of course, Infernocus' head just tucked away inside his chest. Like some crazy Freddy Krueger situation going on. But yeah, I guess we'll look at him just quickly first. He does have shoulders up and down. You can rotate his shoulders at the this part right here, because that's the becomes the hip joints. It's a little easier to raise his arm a little bit. You can, of course, again, raise the arms just like that. He does have a bicep swivel and an elbow, so you got that going on. He can hold the little, what is it, 3mm or something like that, 2mm ports, so he can hold those sword pieces in his hands like that. And his head can go up and down a little bit. It can't go side to side, just due to how he transforms, but his head can go up and down. He does have ball-jointed hips. He does have a thigh swivel and a bit of a knee bend. Not a whole lot going on there, unfortunately. And yeah, I mean, he looks kind of like a weird Devil Went Down to Georgia kind of tap dancing devil sort of guy. Alright, let's take a look at Quintessa here as well. And, you know, I mean, it's a clear figurine, and it's very small, so it might be rather difficult to actually make out all the details. But it's not a bad little figure. They get some cool sculpting in there for the size. And yeah, so that is included in the set as well. Looks more like a Medusa kind of thing. But there you go. And that is, I guess, meant to be in scale with these guys. And there we go. Focus, yay! Alright, so very quickly, let's take a look at Glug here. Here he is in all of his gluggy glory. There is this nice silver wash on black on pretty much all these guys, so it's pretty nice. It's actually a nice color scheme. Works well. The little red in the eyes, or the the kind of orangey red, really does pop on these dudes. And the plastic itself is a metal flake black plastic, which I think works pretty well. This is honestly the most solid version of the figure that I have, which is saying something. His head actually mostly stays together, which I have not been able to get it to do on any of the other copies of this figure. So, take that as you will. And he's just a weird, dopey dinosaur monster. And transformation is, just exactly as it always has been. You're going to unpeg the situation here, split him apart, flip his head bits back, get those feet out. You can flip the monster arms back to kind of form the robot feet. This whole bit is going to come back as well. I'm going to flip the head around, and then I'm going to try to remember exactly how this all goes together. But basically this stuff pegs in here, then this pegs in, or doesn't really peg in, it just comes up and sits back there like so, and then you just kind of move the shoulders back, and you've got Glug in robot mode. And I mean, it's fine. Again, we've seen it a bunch of times. If you have the Grimlock from the same Last Night line, you've got a very similar figure, already in hand. So you got that going on, and he is quite a bit shorter than Skulk, but there he is. Up next, we have Rupture, the bird monster. Oh, and I've got this wrong. His wings are supposed to be up like so for the bird mode. But yeah, he's got some nice red wings. They look pretty good. They do have stopping points here, so they don't go any further than that. And I don't remember that being there on the original figure, but I could just be totally incorrect about that. But his head does go up and down. You can get a little motion out of that neck if you kind of untransform him a little bit. Ball-jointed wings at his elbow area. And then, of course, ball joints in his hips, and he does have some foot articulation as well. And transformation on this guy is also quite simple. We're just going to go ahead and bring his bird head down like that, swing his robot head up like that. We're going to bring the shoulders forward, bring the arms down. That's basically going to be his arm transformation. Flip the tail up, and then straighten out his legs, and then flip his bird feet up to expose his robot feet. And there you have Rupture in robot mode. Unfortunately, his elbows are always kind of at a 90-degree angle because they do have ball joints, but they only go in one direction, and it is not the correct direction, unfortunately. But he does have some very impressive wings, so you got that going on there. And that is Rupture. Alright, next up we have Thrash, or Infernocus Thrash. I guess we couldn't get the rights to just plain old Thrash. And this guy's actually a little bit worse off than my other versions of this mold for a couple of reasons, and I'll get into that. But you can see he's a double-headed dragon-type lizard monster. He's got ball joints on his dual necks. He's got ball joints on his forelegs. He's got ball joints on his back hips, and he's got a little wiggle. I believe this is actually a ball joint as well on his back feet, and you can wiggle the tail up and down if you so desire. But his transformation is as follows. We're going to go ahead and rotate his beast legs back, just like this. If we can get this to work happily. You can even raise them up, is usually a pretty good way to get it done. And then the beast heads will come down like this. They actually, yeah, I kind of had that a little bit wrong. So for the beast mode, you want them closer together, like that. But they do come out to the side, like this. And then you can bring this whole chest piece down and flip the robot head out. Now, when I first opened this guy up, this whole center section with the legs on it just fell right out of his torso. So, I mean, that's why I'm saying it's a little bit not as solid as my previous version of this figure. But overall, not terrible. Not terrible. And then we're going to flip the tails up like that. And we're going to take these hip panel pieces and just rotate those down and pop them in to fill in the robot legs here. And I believe you actually can flip the feet around as well, if that's something that makes you happy. Flip that around, and then plug that in, and there you have Thrash. And, you know, he's the only one out of them that actually has, like, ankle tilts, which is interesting. And honestly, he does strike kind of a rather nice robot mode design as well. So there he is. There's Thrash in robot mode. And last but not least, I suppose, for at least these four, is Gorge. He's some sort of mole monster. I don't really know. And his transformation is pretty neat. So we're going to go ahead and flip his fists out here, just get them kind of out of the way. We're going to take his whole beast head and rotate it back, just like so. And then his whole body is just going to come up like this, split, and reform down here. We're going to flip this chest panel out, flip his robot mode head out, bring that back in just like so, flip his legs down and forward, get those feet out, and then we just kind of adjust his arms how we'd like them to be. There we go. And there is Gorge. So if you're not familiar with the original molds for these guys, they were used again in the Transformers Prime Beast Hunters line. as Abominus, I believe. His foot is a little flappy. But yeah, so that is the lineup of your Infernicons in robot mode. Now, let us take a moment and get these guys transformed into their combined mode. Yay! And let me actually get Quintessa in here for a group shot as well. Sounds good. Yeah, so I mean, these were the guys that, you know, are supposed to be the knights or whatever in Last Night. The bad knights, not the good knights. I don't really know exactly how to explain it, but yeah, they don't really have very much screen presence. They do show up very briefly, but yeah. All right, so let's get these guys ready to combine. So we're going to start off with Gorge here, and what we want to do is we're going to bring his beast head down. We're going to go ahead, and there are two holes right here, or a hole on either leg rather, and those are going to plug right into this little post underneath his beast head. It's not the most solid connection, unfortunately, so it's just kind of there as, I guess, a guideline more than anything else. Then we're going to go ahead and flip his robot mode head down into his chest cavity. And we're going to leave this chest panel out a little bit, because what we're going to do is we're going to bring these arms in, and we're going to try and get these little tabs into these little slots. And it's going to be interesting, to say the least. So let's go ahead and get this done-ish, maybe, possibly. Alright, I think we've got one side mostly tabbed in. And the weird thing is, like, because... Ooh, hand fell out. Okay. Okay, well, there's that. There's that, and then the whole thing now fell apart. Alright, so you got that going on. And then this one will come on and do the same. And I mean, that's basically it. That's one foot kind of done here. We'll come on over to Glug and get the same dealio going. So we want to basically stick his legs together like that, or his robot legs. Bring these bits down as kind of sort of toes. We're going to go ahead and flip his robot mode head, I guess, down like that is fine. And then bring these legs forward, and or back rather. I don't think they really peg into anything. They're just going to kind of sit against his back like that, as far as I can tell. Or you could just leave them along the sides like this is fine too. Just get them tucked out of the way, however works. And that's the other foot here. Let's go over and grab our Birdman. And what we're going to do for this guy is we're going to go ahead and tuck his robot mode head back into his body. Bring out that bird head again. We're going to leave these flip down. And then we're going to bring the shoulder panels up like this. Like this. Just flip these guys around. And I mean, that's basically, that's basically it for that guy. We can actually bring the feet back up like so, just to connect. So that's going to be one arm. And then over here we've got Thrash, and he's going to become the other arm. So what we want to do for this guy is we're going to open up the chest panel again. Oops. If we can get this to actually open up. There we go. Open up the chest panel, flip his head in, close that up again. We're going to go ahead and bring these forward. Bring his heads forward like that. These are going to also come forward, just like we're going back to beast mode. And this is how it's supposed to be for beast mode, by the way. I did have it misaligned, but it has been quite some time since I actually transformed this guy, so I do apologize and beg for your forgiveness. And then you can just kind of leave it like this, and that's going to be fine for the arm. Alright, so now we are going to transform Skulk. So what we want to do is grab these two sword pieces, and we're going to go ahead and just combine them together to be one big sword piece. And that was the thing, like, I thought this was going to become a tail or something for this guy, which is just a bummer. It doesn't at all happen that way. So what we're going to do for this guy is we're going to go ahead and we're going to open up his ribs. We're going to bring his whole head section out and around like this. We're going to split his legs, bring the whole head section out and around to like this, and now it looks ridiculous. But what we are going to do is you can see a tab here. There is a slot in the back of his shoulder, which is a little hard to see. I'll see if I can kind of get it lined up for you there. So there you go. Just peg it in just like that. And on the other side, just like that. We're going to bring these legs around and up to form the shoulders. Like that. You can flip the ribs in or leave them out, whatever suits you best. Flip these bits down like this, and combine the hip pieces together. And hopefully these will stay together. There we go. So now we're going to go ahead and grab the Skulk head and bring it back and down and in just like that to form the Infernocus head. So there you go. You got that going on. And now we just combine all these guys together. So we're going to come on over here, grab this guy. Oops, I actually did it wrong. These are going to go this way. My apologies, my bad. These are going to go this way with the pegs facing forward, because these are going to become his knees. So we're going to go ahead and just pop this in here like that. And that should stay together just fine, like so. And then Gorge is going to come on through. And we're going to go ahead and get this pegged in just like that. And it does clip in, and that's kind of a concern for me a little bit, but I'll get into that shortly. And then since everything will come undone when you do that, you just have to kind of massage all the parts back into place. And then we come on up here, and we can just peg these pegs on the legs of Thrash into the holes in the shoulder here. And there we go. Those are good. And then the same on the other side. Just peg the legs together. And again, because everything is going to come apart when you do this, just go ahead and peg it all back together and massage it into place, or whatever you need to do. And then I don't know why it's so off, but there we go. And there we have Infernocus in all of his robot mode glory. And you can see Quintessa down there as well. And he can, of course, hold his sword still. Oh, mostly. That was me. That was me. That wasn't the figure. I think. There we go. Yeah, so he can still hold the sword. A little top heavy, maybe, with it. We just bend him back just a smidge. Just a smidge and a skosh. And he should be alright. Again, these feet are just not staying together, which is slightly problematic. You know, it'd be nice, maybe we can bring this down here and maybe like mush this on top of the legs, and maybe that'll help like hold that foot together, hopefully. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But there we have Infernocus in robot mode. He is posable. Mostly he does have a head swivel, so you can swivel that head around. You can see some nice paint detailing on the chest here. Some nice silver wash over that black. You can rotate him at the shoulders. Rotate his arms at the shoulders. He's got some motion from all the joints in his legs and in Thrash's legs, and you can kind of get this going. So you can bring this around here. You can kind of grab using Thrash as a hand if you want to. You know, just grab that like so. You can kind of use these wings as sort of a hand as well if you really want to. I cannot find a spot really on his person to plug the sword into, unfortunately. I thought maybe it was meant to go back here against his head, but I don't think that's quite... Yeah, that area is not quite thick enough to actually hold the slot for the sword. So I'm not entirely sure if there is any storage in combined mode for the big sword, which is kind of a bummer. He does not have a waist swivel. He does have the universal hips that we've seen. He does have a thigh swivel. He does have a knee bend here. It's a little high up. But, yeah, I mean, the connection points on the knees actually do worry me a little bit, and I'll get into that. So basically the way these all plug together is that they have these little clips that you can see the clip coming through this slot right here, and I'm just concerned that these are going to break because there's no easy way to release them. You have to like press in on the little clip bit, like compact it and like pull back, and it's hard to do holding this guy and getting your fingers in there because it's pretty small. Like it can be done, but I just worry about the longevity of the clip itself. I'm worried that it will snap over time. I could be totally wrong. It could be super strong and last for years and years and years, but honestly, I just don't like the idea of using something like this on a combiner that's going to be, presumably assembled and disassembled multiple times. So that's just something to watch out for. There has definitely been some mold degradation for these guys. I know they've been used many times in many different, toy lines and things like that. And you can tell, like, the joints are definitely not as stiff as they used to be. The joints are not bad on these guys, but the fact that they have to stick together really well to hold the weight of this combined mode, they just aren't really doing that super well. Obviously he's holding together more or less, but the feet do just kind of fall apart. The feet are easily the two weakest figures out of the set, and that's a problem because they're the ones carrying the most weight. So I'm not saying it's a bad figure. I'm just saying these are things to think about before making a purchase. This is a $35 figure at Toys R Us, so you have to take these things into account. You're getting basically 4 Legion figures and 1 Scout class figure that only turns into a torso and a little dancing devil. So you have to decide for yourself whether or not that value is actually there. For me, I don't really think it's quite worth $35. I understand that there are 5 figures in the set. but at the same time, they're 4 reused figures and 1 new figure that doesn't have, technically does not have like legit alt mode. So, I mean, I would say this should be $25. Would have been my guess, and that's how much I thought it was when I went into the store, and was surprised to see it ring up for $35.99. I was a little bit taken aback by that, but overall, I mean, I do like the paint job. The paint job's really nice. I do like that the fact that the torso is now like properly big for the limbs. Like, he looks relatively well proportioned, even though, you know, his arms are just these big monsters hanging off of his body. But I mean, and you know, I'm really bugged that there's no place to store this in the combined mode. If you guys find a place, let me know. Like, I would love to know. I mean, you could just, you know, plug it into any one of these ports on these guys. Like, they can plug it in anywhere here, but it's certainly not meant to go there for storage. And I mean, the little Quintessa figure is fine. I don't really see it being much of an added bonus for anything, but I mean, it's neat to have a representation of the character. So, all right, so that's gonna do it for my review, guys. You know, I guess it's a bit of a you know, take it as you wish. But that is going to do it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit that like button. It really does help me out. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more. I'll have more Transformers coming real soon, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, thanks again for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.